Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Players NIL podcast. My special guest and a unique guest today, Mr. Ryan Cronin. Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here, Mark. Thanks for having me. Really excited to talk to you.
Well, I'm so excited because you come from a world that I know nothing about, and I am a sponge. I love to learn, and I love to listen, and I love to use the stories that I hear in my future conversations. So, we're going to get to the sports part of our connection, but let's go back to some of your youth memories. You're an artist. You're a high school lacrosse coach. You have kids that are involved in athletics. So clearly sports has been part of your life. Tell me a little bit about when you were young, your first experience, your first game, who your teams were that you cheered for, who did you play ball with? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yep. So I'm the youngest of three kids. My brother is he's a couple years older than me, and then I have an older sister. My father played football and baseball up at Syracuse, so he's a college athlete, and played in the Air Force, traveled around playing ball and at different Air Force bases. And my mother's father was a professional baseball player when the Braves organization was in Boston. So a big baseball family there. And my dad was a coach, and athletics was heavily promoted in our family. We played everything. We played hockey, we played basketball, we played soccer, football, lacrosse, all of it. And the idea was that my father promoted was the life lessons that you'll learn on the field, with your team, and the confidence you build in yourself, the willingness to share the ball, work with others, and to work together for a common goal. Those were really all points of emphasis that resonated, and he promoted heavily to not only us but all the kids in our small community. And I grew up in Westchester, New York, so Westchester County down by New York. So he was pivotal in developing the baseball program. So to start a program was not a foreign idea to me. I saw all the work it took and the time my father spent, loving the kids, loving the game, promoting whatever game he was coaching. And, just kind of, over time resonated with me. And, being in a community with a developing lacrosse program, I, stepped in up here, and, it just felt comfortable. It felt familiar,
Yeah,
So,
well, I love it. And for those of us that have lined fields and strung nets and picked up kids to make sure they go to practice, I resonate with that. I love that. And it was in your genes. And, part of the message here at the Players NIL is, how do you use athletics to better your life? And I agree with your father. It's a great way to do it. I tell people all the time, you can do it through science. You can do it through travel. You can do it through food. You can do it through art. You happen to also be an artist. So your father was an athlete. You were brought up in an athletic-minded household. You were part of building programs. Where did the art come in, and when did you know that you had an interest in art?
Specifically on my 16th birthday, my father took me down to White Plains to B&H Photo, and he brought me, he purchased for my birthday my first still camera. I was expressing an interest in photography at that point, and he took me down there and got my camera for me. So at that point, at 16, I was sort of exploring, other things other than just athletics. I mean, we were all over the place. We were, water skiing, skateboarding, snowboarding, everything, basketball, lacrosse, all of it. So, I think it's just part of having a support group that, behind you, behind myself personally, that, helped facilitate any interest I was into, and that, started the journey through to art, to art school, and then where I am today, So just having that support group is huge as a young person, and no matter what it is, it's a journey, whether it's athletics, art, music, finance, whatever it is. You start somewhere and move forward, and without the support group behind you, it's a little more difficult. But I was
Yeah.
fortunate to have that family that promoted, keeping me busy and healthy, and promoted that idea. No matter what it was, art, music. My brother's a musician. So they facilitated any need we had. They were always more than willing to help out. So ultimately it all lays on them. My parents. So I'm very
Yeah.
grateful.
Well, it's an eclectic background, and my experience is that traditionally people are left brain, right brain, and sometimes they don't cross over, and so the combination is very interesting. I've looked at some of your photos, some of the images online, and you have a style. I don't know what it's called. Do you have a? How do you describe your art?
I'm heavily influenced by American pop art of
Okay.
the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I don't really like to pigeonhole myself by, you know, um, determining what kind of style I am. I think that's maybe the critics and someone else's job to kind of tell the world what kind of painter I am. But it's uniquely my own. It's something that develops over time, and the process and the repetition of the craft, understanding the craft, and then making it something uniquely my own. And that's where the relationship, I believe, that's where the relationship between athletics and art kind of comes together, is that you put the work in every day, no matter what it is you do. Like lacrosse, you have this tool, you have this stick that you have to learn how to master, or begin to master at a young age. And you put the time in every day, whether it's at an organized practice or in the backyard. There's arguments to which one is more valuable, and which version the kids really get more out of. But it starts with that desire, right? To master the tool that you're using, be creative with it, develop something uniquely your own, and push forward. And then, like what you're doing is something completely brand new, and so helpful to, I think, student athletes, where it's next level stuff, where you're giving them the resources and the platform to help them like market and brand and move forward with their craft, which is absolutely huge. Because in art school we could have used a portion of that in our curriculum. I think it would help a lot of artists move forward, because it's not just about the process, or as the craft. It's what you do after you get out of school and you're out there in the world, so in the professional world. So I reading what you're doing, it's like it resonates with me to how helpful this would be for young developing artists as well.
Well, cool. I appreciate that, and I look forward to working with you on that. Before we get to what your current passion project, I have three images that I just want to ask about, because you have some sports wound into your eclectic art. The first one is a pair of blue Nike running shoes with some drumsticks on top of them.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind? What was that inspiration?
That was for a turkey trot, a marathon that we were running here, and I did the T-shirts for them, and because a lot of my work I translate into merchandise, right? Because
Got it.
the idea is you want to reach different audiences. The art world, can kind of be somewhat exclusive, right? There's always been a conversation about who appreciates art and who's able to appreciate art. And if you weren't really raised in a surrounding that supported the arts, where you went to museums, then and galleries, then you really didn't have that exposure to the world of art. So part of what I like to promote is putting my original works on pieces of merchandise that at different price points, right? You reach different audiences, and you're gonna grow your audience that way through, where it's more accessible to a larger group of people, which I'm all about
Cool.
it. Yeah.
The second one is an image of a runner. Looks like just a pair of pants with a pair of Nikes, and it says "Just Do It," which is a Nike expression. It looks like might be a wool cap on the ground. What's that? What's that about?
Mark, that's from an old. It's actually a pile of poop there, and that's about
Oh,
the old phrase. If I could say it, a shit kicking good time. So
okay.
you know, a little humor and a little fun in my work as well.
Cool. Well, that's great. So then the last question I have about your art is, seems to be a lot of umbrellas. Tell me why umbrellas and what they mean to you. What do they symbolize?
Well, simply, the idea of protection, right? Being under something, being protected by, protected from something, and it also to me is there's a little bit of an abstraction in my work. So to me, as a form, the umbrella has, interest as just an abstract form to me.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's awesome. And, again, it's a little bit beyond me, but I tell people all the time, I can't cook, but I sure do love to eat.
yeah, right.
And I can't sing, but I sure do love music. Well, I
Yeah.
can't draw, but I do like your art. I'll tell you that.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
that's part of it. Like, you can't let your fears, I preach this to the kids on the lacrosse field is, especially when they're young, learning a new sport. In our community, lacrosse has sort of been slow to take off, and I've seen so many of the kids, who play with fear, right? Or
Yeah.
they're nervous about dropping the ball, and that element of fear. And until we lose that, we're not going to be able to move forward. So
Yeah.
it's a huge step in any individual's journey, is to kind of push beyond that fear, get comfortable with it, and then move through it. So like I
Great.
said, I started out in a film and video background, and then thought of painting as like the hierarchy of the art world that was sitting on top, and then everything else kind of fell to the bottom. But until I actually picked up a paintbrush, did I realize that I had something to contribute. Again, over time it was developed into something that is unique, and it's my own, and I own it through my time and my effort put into it every day.
I love it. We have a few minutes left, but this is the most important part of it is, the second part of our mission is to use athletics to better the lives of the people around us. You've built a program, you're building a program using lacrosse in Africa. Tell us about the program, tell us what the mission is, and give us an update of where you are.
Yeah, so I'll start in 2019. I was an artist in residence in Senegal, in a remote part of Senegal. It's about 8 hours east of Dakar, called the Tambacounda region. And at the Thread Artist and Cultural Center there, I spent the month of September. And the only thing they ask is that you share something with the community there. So I brought 4 boys' lacrosse sticks with me, and a bunch of balls and tennis balls, and so the first week I was there, I was a little hesitant to kind of introduce it. I didn't want to seem like I was, just coming in and stepping in and too pushy. So by the second week, once a couple of the kids saw me with a stick, they approached me, and then by the end of that first week, we were. I used my luggage as like little box goals, and we had like, little 2-on-2s inside there's a tennis court there, so it was like, there was a fence around it, so it was easy to keep the ball contained, because the ball was really on the ground a lot. But so for the next 3 weeks, we did, every night from 5 to like 7:30. The kids would show up at my studio. I'd paint all day, and then they'd show up at the studio and want to play from 5 to 7, 7:30, just before dinner. And the kids, and it was mostly boys at that time, a few girls and a couple of adults came out to check out the game, and the kids absolutely loved it. So I left the sticks there, left all the equipment I brought with me there, and then when I got back, we did a fundraiser, and we raised money for like 30 practice jerseys, the dry fit practice jerseys, and I put Cynthian lacrosse on it and the Senegalese flag on the back, and we sent another 10 sticks, boys sticks over. So, and then the pandemic hit, right? And then kids were playing on their own and really enjoying the game, and then the pandemic came, settled in, and that kind of, crushed any plans of me heading back early to help develop the game. But as of last year, I was asked to return and help develop the game further, because the kids are really expressing an interest. So lacrosse is the foundation I'm working with. They are generous enough to pay for all my housing and transportation, and when we're there, we have to fly ourselves there, but once we're there, the foundation takes over and sets it up. So the plan is I'm leaving with my son Monday, and we're going to do four nights of 2-hour clinic for 4 nights next week, and I'm bringing another I think 15 girls sticks, and we have 2 collapsible goals that were donated, and we're just trying to get sticks in hand and really develop the game and develop the coaches there, try and get some adults. There's a couple of adults in the village that have expressed an interest in learning the game and helping volunteer coaching in that, which is a real point of emphasis, is getting the right people involved to help coach the game. So
great. What's the name of the organization again, Ryan? Where can people learn more about it? lacrosse is the name of the organization. They run a humanitarian and healthcare initiative in that region of Senegal, and they've been absolutely beautiful, and they also run the artist in residency program there. So again, it was amazing for me to have the opportunity to introduce the game of lacrosse and work on my own art career there. So it's fantastic. So yeah, the game, ever since we started this conversation, I've been in touch with the African Association of Lacrosse and had conversations with them about developing the game in Senegal, because there are nations in West Africa that are really starting to develop the game. Ghana is really making strides. And they've put me in touch with one gentleman in Dakar, Senegal, who has some experience with the game. So the idea is to develop the game in eastern Senegal, where I will be, and then also help promote this one coach's efforts in Dakar by sending equipment and sticks and equipment to both locations over the night. And we already have another trip scheduled for November. So we're going to be looking for volunteers, people that want to go over and grow the game. And I've reached out to a couple professional lacrosse players already, and they're starting conversations with them. The lacrosse, as you know, is a pretty small community, and everybody's pretty willing to help each other out. So we have momentum, and it's looking pretty. I'm super excited about what's about to happen there. That's great. You and your wife, Melanie, reached out to me last week, and when I spoke to her, I don't think she knew about my lacrosse contacts, but once I told her, she said, "Oh boy, this is going to be fun." Pillar number 4 in the players NIL five pillar course is community service and philanthropy. And Ryan, you exemplify that at
Yeah.
the most extreme level. And, I wish you luck with that. If people want to learn more about your art, what's your website or where's your gallery? How can they find you?
Yeah, you can Google my name, Ryan Cronin, artist, and that'll bring you to the website. The website is cronartusa.com, and we are here in New Paltz, New York, in the beautiful Hudson Valley. We're right
I
in
love,
downtown New Paltz. We have the brick and mortar gallery. We've been here 7 years, and every year it's just growing, keeps moving
great.
forward.
All right, we have a minute left, and in that minute, you're going to give advice to, young Ryan Cronin, the high school athlete, the budding artist, and all of those kids today that have a passion that involves sports and something outside of sports. Give me a minute of your best advice.
Yeah, it's just like I was saying earlier, you're gonna fail. You're gonna share success. Just if you believe in yourself and believe in the people around you. Number one, find good people to work with. Right. Always share the ball. Don't be the guy that's always shooting the ball. And the game will teach us that pretty quickly. Do good work, help yourself, help your family, be good to your family, and be good to the community around you. And don't be afraid to take risks, calculated risks. Some of those are going to pay off. Some of those are going to not end up that successful. But it's a journey. This life that we're on is a journey, and we're all human beings. And nobody started off on top. We all had to claw our way up there, and through hard work and a lot of love for yourself. Number one, love yourself and your family and your community, and that's going to pay dividends throughout your whole life. So that's it. And stay positive.
Well,
Always positive.
Well, that's not it. That's a whole lifetimes of experience there. And, as we build the players NIL to be a center of excellence, helping to guide athletes through the athletic career, post-career guidance, balance is so important. And I love your balance in your life. I respect your art. I respect your community service efforts. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And I want to say thank you for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you, Mark, and I love what you're doing too. I'd love to see it translate to like I said, young developing artists as well. It'd be huge for them as well. So good work. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, talk to you later.